Hi guys, and welcome to another video where I can hopefully simplify another Linux task for you. Today we're going to be discussing about SFTP servers, how to set one up, and I'm going to do it on, I've got a Raspberry Pi here, I've got tons of these kicking about the house doing all sorts of different tasks, but this one here is just sat on my desk doing nothing, so I thought I'd set this one up as a test box and show you guys how to install an SFTP server. So you might be asking, what is SFTP? What does it stand for? Well, it's Secure File Transfer Protocol. It's exactly the same as FTP. The only difference being is it runs over SSH, which offers a secure and encrypted connection. So what exactly does it do? Well, an SFTP server is going to allow you to access your files from anywhere in the world. You can think of it as your personal cloud storage, with the benefit of actually knowing where that data is being held. Okay, there are alternatives for this service, but with a comparison of cost, you don't get better than free, and an SFTP server is completely 100% free. Just a little note on the Raspberry Pis, they are great SFTP servers. Very, very low cost to initially purchase the hardware, and then to actually run a Raspberry Pi over a year, you can leave it up continuously, and they cost absolute pennies to run over an entire year. They're fantastic little machines. Okay, with that out of the way, let's crack on. I'm going to break this down into very simple, easy to follow steps. Step 1 really is all about just getting and installing the server components you're going to require for an SFTP server. You're going to need two bits of software, and that's OpenSSH-server, and the other one is OpenSSH-SFTP-server. So to do that on your Raspberry Pi, just open up a terminal and type in sudo apt install, and it's OpenSSH-server. I'll leave that up there so you can have a write down and a view of that. Click enter. Obviously I've got this installed already because I'm using SSH right now to log into the Raspberry Pi to record this video. And the next bit of software that you require is sudo apt install, and it's OpenSSH-SFTP-server. Once again, I'll leave that up there for you to jot that down and enter it in. And then click enter, and that should install as well. And that one's already installed for me too. Okay, so that's step 1 done. Not too hard, not too difficult. Okay, the next thing that we want to do for step 2 is create a user, and we also want to create a group and a home directory. We also want to give this user a password. To make this super simple, I'm literally just going to give this user a simple username, SFTP user, and a group name, SFTP group, and that way it's quite easy to follow for you guys. So let's get on with it. So we go sudo user add -m, and that's just saying, hey, create me a home directory in the /home folder, and the username that we want to create, SFTP user. Okay, and click enter. There we go, we're in the home directory now, so we'll just ls and see where we go. Our SFTP user has been created and has been given a home directory. Okay, next thing, really important thing, is to give this chap a password. So to do that, we go sudo passwd, P-A-S-S-W-D for password, and just type in the username that we created, SFTP user. It will ask for the password. Just type the password in. I strongly suggest you use a alphanumeric password as a minimum, and retype it to confirm, and there we go. We've got a username and a password set up. So let's try and actually log in with this chat. Let's see if we can log in. So go sudo login and SFTP user. Let's type his name in, right? SFTP user. And it's going to ask for your password, put it in, and hey presto, we're in as that user. Okay, type exit to come out of that, and we'll clear the screen. First thing we want to do really is say to this guy, no, you can't log in anymore. I know we just created it, so we could log in, but now we're going to take that permissions away. This is going to be our SFTP user. So we want this guy really just only using SFTP. We don't want this chap roaming around in the home directories or any of the other file system parts. We want to have him locked down so he never gets a bash terminal or a shell login prompt. And to do that, we just go sudo user mod -s, okay, and that's to say over here we are now going to give him a new login of user sbin, and it's called no login. Simple as that. And you've got to write the username now, SFTP user. Okay, so that's user mod -s user sbin no login SFTP user. Okay, now we hit enter. What we're going to try and do is log in now and see what happens. Sudo login SFTP user. It's going to ask for the password and it should bomb out. And there we go. This account is currently not available. So there we go. Locked out, not allowed to play. Okay, clear the screen. Job done. Right, next thing is we said we were going to create a group for this chap, didn't we? So we're going to have SFTP group. Okay, so to do this, you go sudo group add and the name SFTP group. There we go. So just to check that, we can go cat etc group, and you see it at the bottom with a GID of 1003 SFTP group. Excellent. So that's our group created. Okay, now we want to assign that group to our new user. So SFTP user will be a part of the SFTP group. To do this, we go sudo user mod -a, and that is quite important. That means append, and -g for group, SFTP group, and we want to assign the SFTP user to that group. So SFTP user. I'll leave that up there so you can read that. And enter. Okay, so our user is now part of the SFTP group. Okay, that's step 2 and pretty much step 3 completely done. So let's move on to the next thing. Okay, this step now is really deciding where you want to have your directory set up and sorting out the permissions for this directory. So you really don't want to be using an SFTP server from the home folder. In fact, Linux actually has a folder specifically for stuff like that. So if you just come into your terminal and go cd/ into the root and go ls, you shall see in there, you'll see a folder called srv, serve. It stands for server. And that's really what that's for. That's used for Apache web servers, used for FTP, SFTP. That's really where you want to host files from. So that's where I'm going to create my SFTP directory. So to go in there, just go cd serve, and you'll see that there's nothing else in there. Nothing's in there at all. And we're going to create a directory called SFTP. So to do that, sudo make dir SFTP. Okay, ls, and there we go, we can see it. Now if I do an ls-l to list it, you can see that the owner of this directory is root, and that the group permissions are also root for the SFTP directory. This is something that we are going to change. We obviously, this folder has to be owned by root. Okay, that's compulsory for the SFTP server to work. But the group, obviously, we want to change. We want this to be part of the SFTP group. So anyone that's got SFTP group permissions can access this folder. Okay, so to do that, we are going to go sudo chgrp, that's change group. Okay, and you type in the group, SFTP group, and you say what folder you want to change, so SFTP. Just hit enter. Now when I go ls-l, it will list that yes, owner is still root, but our group is now SFTP group. It's been allocated to the SFTP directory. Okay, we've still got one more directory to create, and this is going to be the actual directory which you can upload and download files, and we want to give this full permissions. As you can see with the one that you've just created, the SFTP, you can see we've got owner permissions of read, write and execute, that's for root, and for the SFTP group they've only got read and execute permissions. We want to keep it that way because this is like the home directory, so we don't want other people coming in there, and we don't want to give write permissions to this directory either. We want another folder inside that we can use as the sort of public share. You can call this folder whatever you wish. I'm just going to cd into the change directory into the SFTP folder, and we're going to go sudo make directory, make dir, and I'm going to call this one shared. There you go. You can call it shared, public, whatever you want. But there it is in the list, and in this one, pretty much the same thing. We're going to look at the permissions of it. You can see that root own it and root as the group as well. We want to change that to our SFTP group, and we want to give full permissions this time to root and to the group. So to do that, we're going to go sudo change group chgrp, and we're going to say SFTP group, and we want it to be the shared folder. Just hit enter. And now we want to go sudo chmod, and we're going to say yes, the root can have full permissions, group can have full permissions, and everybody else, no way Jose. So just type in shared for the folder and click enter. Now when we go ls-l, we can now see we've got root permissions, read, write, execute, group permissions, read, write, execute, absolutely nothing for anyone else, and the files are owned by root, and the group is SFTP group for our shared folder. So there we go, that is all the directory structure set up for the SFTP server. Okay guys, all the legwork has been done. We're on the final stage. Now we just need to set up SSH to run as an SFTP server, and we need to edit one file to do that, and that file is called sshd_config, and you're going to find that file in your etc directory in a folder called SSH. So let's open up our favorite editor. I'm going to use Nano. You guys can use whatever you want, Vim, VI, Emacs, whatever it may be. Sudo nano /etc ssh and sshd_config is the file that we need to edit. Okay, I'll leave that up on the screen there so you can read it. Okay, and enter. Now, this isn't a huge file, it's pretty small, but it's the configuration file that is read. It's a script, and it's read every time SSH starts or restarts, and it's got quite essential stuff in here. Like, for example, you've got here your port. You could change your port if you wanted to move on to a different port for SSH. I recommend you just remain with 22 as the standard port for SSH. And what we're looking for is all the way down the bottom. There's a couple of things we need to change. Well, one thing we need to change, and then a couple of things that we need to add. So this line, this is what we're looking for. Override default of no subsystems. Well, the subsystem SFTP user lib OpenSSH SFTP-server, that has been superseded. That no longer really is relevant. So just comment that out, and just below it put in another line, subsystem, and we're going to say SFTP, and for this we're going to say internal minus SFTP. Okay, now down just below that you're going to see this. It says example of overriding settings on a per users basis. Now that's pretty much what we're going to be doing, is exactly this. It's just an example. So below that, just make a comment so you can title it and label it. Just say SFTP server setup and information. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rattle through these. I'm just going to show you what you need to type, and afterwards I'll run through what each one does and explain it. So it's better that you understand exactly what they're doing rather than just typing it in and not knowing. Okay, one thing I will say is all of this is case sensitive, and it really does matter. If you get the case wrong, it's not going to work. Okay, so first thing we need to type in is match, capital M, user, and it's SFTP user, so username. Okay, and then after that we're going to say capital F, force command, capital C. Okay, and it's internal SFTP. And we are going to say capital A for allow, capital T, TCP, capital F for forwarding, and we're not going to allow that. We're saying no to that. And capital C, H, root, directory, capital D, like that. And we're going to point that to our wonderful directory, which is /srv/sftp, and that's where our user's home plate is. So that is it. Let me just explain what we've done there then. Okay, so what this is doing is this script, like I say, it runs when you load up SSH. It basically is saying the user that's logging in, is it the SFTP user? If it is, if that matches, okay, we don't want that user having like a login prompt or going through the normal channel of SSH. This user is an SFTP user, so it forces the command internal SFTP. The allow TCP forwarding, no. The reason we do that is for security reasons. Okay, if it's enabled, it's a common way to actually hide activity on a network by tunneling or using other ports and protocols. So we don't want that. And we're just saying ch root directory is our home directory really for this user. So that's the directory we want to share. And what it's also saying is we don't want any users going higher up the hierarchy of the file system in that. In other words, once this user logs in, that is the highest he'll be able to go in the directory structure. He'll be stuck in serve SFTP. That will appear to be root for him. You don't obviously want him going down into root and actually changing anything. So that limits his capabilities of moving around in the system. Okay, so that is it. We need to save that. Okay, and we'll exit. And all we have to do now is restart the SSH server. So sudo system, sorry, my typing today, CTL, systemctl restart, and it's SSH. And there we go, that's our SSH restarted. What I would advise now is that we log out, completely log out. So there we go, I've logged out. That's me back on my normal system. I will go back in now, log in. Okay, we're logged back in. And the reason we do that is because we've changed a lot of users and a lot of groups. And it's best if you just log out, and when you log back in, all those groups and users are assigned to the login. It all works properly. Okay, and now we're just going to test. We're done. So let's see if it works. So SFTP, and we just say our username, SFTP user at, we'll just go localhost. And if we get a command prompt, an SFTP prompt, then we have done it. Put in the password, boom, there we go, and our root directory shared. See that? So we can cd shared, and we can do whatever we want in there. Let's make a directory. We'll call it winner. There we go, and there we go, we got it, it's in there. Okay, so to say goodbye to that, you just type in bye. Let's actually test it now from this computer. So I'm just going to pull up FileZilla. Let's have a little look. Here we go. Yes. Here's FileZilla. I'll make that a bit bigger for you. And we are going to go and put in our IP address for this Raspberry Pi, 192.168.0.53, I think it was. The username, Sftp user, and our password, and the port's 22. And can we connect? There we go. It's asked for our fingerprint and key. Okay, agree to it, and there we are. We have our shared folder that we can write to, and there's the folder winner in there. So I can just take any old file. Let's see if I've got a file, just a random file in here. We'll just take that folder. There we go. We'll just upload that into our folder, and there we go. It's transferring across. It's super fast, all encrypted, and there we have it on the local machine on the little Raspberry Pi now. Simple as that, guys. I hope this has been useful to you. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, hey, that's cool. Just let me know. Keep it all polite in the comments. We're all here trying to help each other, so no need for nastiness or trolling. And I hope to see you guys in another video, and hopefully I can explain something else which will help you out as well. All right, cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.